Have you ever made one decision that changed the rest of your life? Sometimes it's a choice made in wisdom. Sometimes it's a choice made in a moment of hunger. One impulsive decision, one act of deception, one family conflict, and the consequences last for generations. That's the story of Jacob and Esau. It's a story about brothers, but even more, it's a story about the value of God's promises, because one brother traded eternity for a meal, while the other tried to obtain God's blessing the wrong way. And the question is, what are you willing to trade for what God has promised? In Book of Genesis 25, Isaac and Rebekah become parents after years of waiting. But even before the twins are born, something unusual happens. The babies struggle within Rebekah's womb. She asks God why, and God reveals something extraordinary. Two nations are in your womb, and the older shall serve the younger. In the ancient world, this was completely unexpected. The oldest son normally received the greater inheritance, leadership of the family, the father's blessing, the birthright. Yet God announces that his plan will unfold differently, not according to human tradition, but according to his sovereign purpose. The first child is born red and covered with hair. He is named Esau. Moments later, his younger brother emerges holding Esau's heel. He is named Jacob. The name Jacob can carry the idea of heel grabber or one who takes another's place. Even at birth, their story points toward struggle. As they grow older, they become very different men. Esau becomes a skilled hunter. He loves the outdoors. Jacob prefers life among the tents. Different personalities, different priorities, different hearts. One day, Esau returns home exhausted after hunting. Jacob is cooking a pot of stew. Esau says, "Give me some of that red stew." Jacob replies, "Sell me your birthright first." The birthright wasn't simply about receiving more possessions. It included leadership of the family, a double portion of the inheritance, the privilege of continuing God's covenant promises through Abraham and Isaac. But Esau says something astonishing. "What good is my birthright to me?" And he trades it for one meal, one bowl of stew, one temporary craving for an eternal privilege. The Bible later describes Esau as someone who treated sacred things lightly. His appetite became more important than God's promise. Many people think this story is only about inheritance. It's much bigger. Esau wasn't simply giving away property. He was showing how little he valued what God had entrusted to his family. Think about it. He could replace another meal. He could never replace the birthright. This becomes a warning that echoes throughout Scripture. Temporary desires can cause eternal losses. How often do people today exchange lasting joy for temporary satisfaction, integrity for popularity, faithfulness for convenience, truth for acceptance, God's calling for immediate comfort? The question isn't whether we value God's promises. The question is, what do our daily choices reveal about what we truly value? Years later, Isaac grows old and nearly blind. He decides to give his final blessing to Esau, but Rebekah remembers God's earlier promise. Instead of trusting God's timing, she creates a plan. Jacob disguises himself as Esau. He wears goat skins. He brings food prepared by Rebekah. Isaac is suspicious. The voice is Jacob's, but the hands are Esau's. Yet Isaac gives Jacob the blessing. Soon afterward, Esau arrives. The deception is exposed, and the family is devastated. Esau weeps bitterly. Jacob must flee. Rebekah loses both sons. Isaac grieves. One sinful decision creates years of broken relationships. Here's what many people miss. God had already declared before the twins were born that Jacob would receive the covenant promise. God never needed deception to accomplish his will. Jacob and Rebekah believed the promise, but they tried to force God's timing. That's an important lesson. Faith trusts God's promise. Fear manipulates circumstances. God's purposes cannot be improved by dishonest methods. Whenever we abandon integrity to achieve God's promises, we create unnecessary pain. God's plan succeeds because of his faithfulness, not because of human manipulation. Remarkably, God continues working through Jacob despite his failures, not because Jacob deserves it, but because God's grace is greater than human weakness. That doesn't remove the consequences, but it does reveal God's mercy. This story invites every one of us to ask two questions. Am I treating God's promises as valuable or ordinary? Am I trusting God's timing or trying to force His plan? Some people are living like Esau, trading eternal things for temporary satisfaction. Others are living like Jacob, believing God's promises, but trying to accomplish them through shortcuts. Jesus calls us to something better, to treasure God's kingdom, to trust God's timing, and to walk in obedience, even when waiting is difficult. God's promises are too valuable to exchange for temporary desires. Stop sacrificing eternal priorities for immediate gratification. Trust God's timing, obey His word, and let Him fulfill His promises His way. Never trade what is eternal for what only satisfies you today. Understand the word, trust the Lord, walk it out. Bible scholars, the next Bible story is waiting. Don't miss it.